And we are back for another casual conversation with the Classic Guys. I'm here with none other than NWA's very own Kerry Morton. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Wrestling Classic. Justin, thanks for having me on the air. It's been a hell of a weekend, to say the least. I've been all over the country wrestling.
Where have you been this week? Where have you been?
So let's talk about it. I think I started off Friday in Sevierville, Tennessee. For Crossfire Wrestling on the stacked card. Juventud Guerrero, Tom Latimer, myself, my partner, Silas Mason of one half of the Southern Six. Let's see who else. Tessa Blanchard was on the card. Kinsey Henry, along with her sister Kylie Page. Henry, super stacked roster to say the least. And then moved it back to Saturday. I was at AML Wrestling for that's in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. They run a huge show called Wrestlecade every November, and they run each and every individual month. Huge house as well. Really stacked. C.W. Anderson's on the card. I wrestled Mr. Number One, George South. We tore it up. So, listen, Kerry doesn't do jobs in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, so I hate to break it to him. But no,
that doesn't work for me, brother. That's what happens.
That doesn't work for me, brother. That's right. Doesn't work for me, brother. To be fair, though, I had a really fun time. Kind of a little slide of a weekend compared to what I have been having. But to say the least, I'm fortunate to be able to do what I do and, I have a Sunday off.
Well, that's always good to have a Sunday off. Will you be heading back there in November for Wrestlecade then? Is that something that's in the plans for you?
I will. I actually make my triumphant return to Game Changer Wrestling once more. I am the face of Game Changer Wrestling, Justin, as you already know. When you think of Game Changer Wrestling, you should think of Kerry Morton. So, I mean, what is there to say? So, Brett gave me the lovely message to come through to Winston-Salem. So I'll be there Friday night. Then I believe I'm going to be in that super show on Saturday and maybe possibly Sunday. If time permits. I'm a college student as well here in the States, so I got to make school on that following Monday for finals leading into Christmas break.
How are you balancing school and wrestling at this schedule at the same time?
I question myself too. How do I balance it? Because quite frankly, I am getting my ass whooped this particular semester.
If you don't mind me asking.
What's that?
What are you taking in? What's your major?
I'm a marketing major.
Okay.
I do a lot of marketing. I actually do social media analytics and data.
Okay.
So I'm very factual when it comes to this stuff. I help out, maybe I should say this on the air or not. I help out a lot with wrestling companies and their social media, and I help them kind of gain viewership or whatever they may be looking for, leading to ticket sales or marketing. So fortunate to say the least to be a part of that. And then so on top of that, I get to do a lot of other cool things. So marketing's kind of my niche. I think I found my calling there when it comes to outside of professional
wrestling.
You're
someone that can kind of wear many hats for a company. You're not just there to be a professional wrestler. You can help in other ways, which is, that's something you should put out to the world to know. Hey, if you want to hire Kerry Morton, you might get more than just bell to bell.
Well, most definitely. I think Billy Corgan saw that as well. As I'll just go ahead and say it on the air. I get the opportunity to help with NWA marketing a lot outside of marketing, the face of the company, Kerry Morton. I get to help market the other roster, so to speak. So, no, it's really cool. I have a good time doing it. It's something that keeps me very busy, extra income, which is always great to have necessarily, especially on the life of a hustler and wrestler. I am contracted under the National Wrestling Alliance, which I'm grateful for. But at the end of the day, it's something I get to use my degree. I keep, a little busy work and kind of keeps me focused on what I need to do from time to time.
So what is the main end goal for you? Is it professional wrestling? Is the marketing kind of like something to fall back on? Or do you see yourself in the world of marketing more?
Yeah, that's a great question. At the end of the day, I wanted to be a professional wrestler. When I told my father and mom, full time, I've been in the business my whole life. But, when the opportunity came, I said, hey, listen, I want to be a wrestler. And the goal was that you have to graduate with a bachelor's degree.
Fair enough.
That was kind of the blessing for my father to be in the business. Is, hey, go get your education, as my brothers and sisters have done the same in the past. And that was kind of the thing that, and I wasn't going to argue. I love the idea. Tomorrow, wrestling could be over for me.
Yeah.
This business there's nothing is ever guaranteed in professional wrestling. Nothing can ever. I'm the one to say it. Nothing is ever guaranteed in professional wrestling.
It's very admirable of you, because that's a question I think a lot of people have to ask themselves when they do put all their eggs in one basket. And sometimes that's a way to make it. Sometimes you have to put all your eggs in one basket. Yeah. In professional wrestling, it's a tough business. But there is that situation, like nothing is guaranteed. A lot of people haven't planned the after wrestling life. Like, what happens if this doesn't go as planned, or if I want to like stop at like 40 or 50, like, do I just not do anything? Like, it's good that you have that plan. I don't think a lot of people think about that.
I appreciate that. No, most definitely, Justin. I appreciate it. And listen, like, I had the opportunity that I sold my first marketing business.
Yeah.
I built it up when I was in high school, and kind of, I built this up to help with social media analytics. I felt that was the future when, seeing this at a young age.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to kind of build that up, sell it, and then now get to do marketing with the business that I love, which is professional wrestling. So
a little bit of a hustler out here, eh? Just since high school, building businesses, flipping them. Yeah.
I was a broke high school kid. I loved cool kicks. I loved, I had the opportunity to do professional theater in high school and middle school. So, I had that income coming in, but at the end of the day, I was a hustling guy. I would find anything that I can make a deal on and resell and make some value from it. I'm a big sneakerhead for those wrestling fans listening out there. So with that being said, extra income was great. I had a great business, I had a big model. I showed a lot of growth within that particular business that I built myself with social media, and then I built some clientele and sold it. And it was really a cool blessing, and made some extra income, and that's what I invested in professional wrestling.
And I don't know anything about this, like the fandom and the culture, but what's like the most valuable sneaker that you have then?
Man, I am a big sneakerhead, to say the least. I have some, Off-White, Virgil. He passed away about 2 Novembers ago, if I'm not mistaken, 2 years ago or so. And he had Off-Whites that came out, Air Max, and I got the original pair that with the box, original shoelaces. That's a shoe I value. It's kind of up in my, when you walk into the room or my closet, it's kind of right there, priority shelf for everyone to see it. And no one comes to my home anyways. Quite frankly, no one's really coming to my room other than myself or whoever else it may be. But anyhow, where I'm getting at, it's something I value, and I really enjoy that to kind of see that. And its value now is like $3,500.
That's insane. I know Off-White and know about Virgil. I'm knowledgeable enough about that to that extent, but that's insane. I would take a lot of pride in that too. That's pretty cool. I don't want to gloss over it. We did, you brought up your father earlier on. Obviously, you are the son of legendary Ricky Morton. So I want to ask you, just out of curiosity, like, usually I like to ask people like how they got into professional wrestling, but like, what was your introduction to professional wrestling? Because your dad was a professional wrestler, like you're second generation. So what are like your earliest memories?
Right. Well, man, Justin, you got to start from where I was born. I was the youngest. I have 8 children.
8 children. So, wow.
Yeah. My dad, Justin, I'm telling you,
wait, none of the other ones wrestle at all?
No, none of our involved in professional wrestling, but I do have quite a diverse family. I'll go into a conversation with that. I mean, I have family that's we are an entertainment-driven family.
Yeah.
My brother wrote some famous country music songs.
Oh, wow.
We helped with professional makeup with shows such as The Walking Dead. Now we're kind of, my other brother's a college professor. I'm very, very diverse, esthetician with famous actors that's kind of going to get skincare work. Really, just an entertainment-driven family, to say the least. My mom, thank you. So it started, watching my father up and down the road as a little boy, going to these independent shows with them and these WWE shows with them as he was a backstage agent. Not necessarily someone to watch me, so I just went on the road with them. I watched him bust his ass and hustle every single week in and week out. And really just I grew up in the locker rooms. I grew up around, especially here in the South. Professional wrestling here in the United States. I grew up and down the locker room, traveling up and down the, just flying elsewhere with them to make these talents and Comic Cons and whatever else it may be. And I just, I loved wrestling. I knew at one point when I was about 13 or so that I wanted to step outside of wrestling and do professional theater. And I was thinking, or maybe my family's thinking, because they're kind of the ones that advised me to do that, is, get me prepared for later down the road when I want to step back in professional wrestling and be prepared, whether it be mentally or physically or demanding where the camera's on you and acting and facials and posture and whatever else I can get into. So, that's kind of the start of it. That's how I kind of got my tie into wrestling. And then, as 2020 was kind of coming to a beginning, that's when I really knew that, hey, I want to wrestle full time. I was a senior in high school.
Yeah.
It was time for me to kind of step out. I saw a cool opportunity. Companies like AEW was starting up.
Yeah.
WWE was super hot. Impact Wrestling was hot at the time. NWA was just starting up again. That's what really, really caved me into. I was like, wow, I love NWA. My dad's working for them once more. Yeah. And that was kind of the time. I was like, man, I think I can bring something. I think, even at a young age that was then, I'm 22 now. But at the time, I saw something. I was like, I got to jump on this opportunity while I can. And
22 years old, you're young. Okay. On that note, though, I do think just before I get back to growing up as a son of a wrestler, I want to put up the fact that I like the idea that you started a company in high school, you flipped at a marketing company, you got kind of in this marketing world, you took a detour, you did some stuff in theater where you obviously learned how to have stage presence and be in front of other people. And I feel like all these things kind of helped you out with your wrestling career. Because wrestling today, modern day wrestling, like wrestling in 2023 is like, one, you got to be comfortable in front of people, and there's a portraying a character aspect. And then on the flip side, social media is huge now. I think almost every major company, if you're there, will tell you to try to get your social media up because that's a big way of marketing and you have the brains for that. So I think part of your journey, without even noticing it, was preparing you for this world indirectly without you actually maybe mentally preparing yourself to do it that way.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you for kind of understanding that. That's kind of what I thought about too, is hopefully, prepare myself young for the future to come.
Yeah, I always say, because I always tell people, if you look back, even at the stuff that you're like, oh, why did I do that? Or why did I maybe take that detour? I'm like, yo, if you look at all the things you've kind of done to get where you are right now, all those parts were pivotal and important for you to go through to get here. And I think it's always good. Just, you're 22, I'm like 32, I'm like 10 years old. The older you get, you start thinking a lot more. But I came up with that. I look back and I was like, there's a lot of things I was like angry or mad or I was not happy about. I'm like, oh no, I had to go through that. I needed to deal through that. That was something I had to go through to know not to do it again or be better at this or know that I can, So
Exactly.
I just wanted to look back for you there for a second because I'm like, from the things you've already told me, I'm like, oh, like he, in a way, took detours and did other things, but they still helped you for this world of professional wrestling, which is cool.
And you're right. And, I love that you mentioned the ups and downs. What you see on social media is generally people tend to post, happiness and
it's a highlight reel of people's lives. You don't really see when they're miserable, going through it, broke, crying in their bedroom or something. Like you see when they're on vacation or the high moments or with the friends or partying. That's what you see.
That's right. I had the opportunity to work with Jelly Roll early in my, my marketing kind of necessarily, and the opportunity to kind of help him. And he was very adamant about showing his life as it is, not necessarily portrayed just on social media. Now, if you see his social media now, he's very open. He's an open book, and that's something I admire too, and that's something I try to be very relatable with, is being an open book and being relatable to these folks necessarily. And it's neat to say the least, to say like, hey, this man right here is, and I'm getting off the tie of professional wrestling, but still, where we're going in the conversation is, at the end of the day, don't believe everything that you see on social media, and that's something I had a hard time, especially in the business that I'm in, is you always see your friends and my wrestling friends, for instance, and the guys and the gals that I share locker rooms with, and seeing them be so happy and bright, and I love that. But at the end of the day, I'm happy for one another. I very am, truthfully. But it's tough to kind of portray the other side outside of the world of professional wrestling.
And this is a conversation I don't listen to every podcast in the world, so I don't know, but from the ones listening, this is a conversation that doesn't have that much. It's mental health and professional wrestling. I think now more than ever, because of social media, it's very easy to try to compare your success to someone else that is also in the business that might have started around the same time as you, that's somewhere else. And you're like, oh, they're killing it all. Why am I here and they're over there? When realistically, it's a different journey. And they might be there anyways and be miserable, and you just don't know it. Like, because that's not what you're gonna see until they do like a shoot promo on someone's podcast afterwards. Like, so it's like like social media is a little bit of a lie. It's not fully a lie, but for the most part, everyone's showing you the best selves. And I think and this goes outside of wrestling, right? It's not just wrestling. I'm using wrestling because it's supposed to be a wrestling show, but a lot of people will compare it to themselves to what they see on social media and what other people have on social media. It's like, well, that's only like half of it. That's why I like to say it's half of it. It's not. It's like 50% of their real life. There's a whole 50% you're not seeing, and I think it's good for if anyone, for whoever listens to this, if you're getting into the business, if you're getting into the wrestling business, and you're seeing other people around the same age as you at a different level or a different place than you, it's not that you're doing any worse. It's just a different journey and different things going on,
Yeah, I'm right. I'm right there with you. I'm edging on to that just a little bit more too, is, it's not necessarily about the destination, it's about the journey. And that's something I live by necessarily, and I have to take a step back sometimes because, I've been fortunate that I get to travel all over the world and wrestle and meet these awesome fans and these independent promotions and be a part of their events. And sometimes I forget, about kind of enjoying the moment. Yeah, in the moment, and thinking about the next town I'm going to make or the next payday I may make.
I'm sure in your situation, your dad talks about, the glory days all the time on the road with the horsemen and this and that and yada, yada, yada. And it's in the past, but then you're like, no matter what he achieved, like those moments, that's what he's reminiscing about. Because it is the moments, right? Like it is being on the road. It's the little things. It's not just what happens that the fans see. It's just the everyday life of being on that grind and being a professional wrestler that people won't see, that you got to like cherish and take in, right? Like even with this whole wrestling classic journey, it's like, oh yeah, like I've done a lot of cool stuff, but it's like the stuff that happened before the stuff happened. Like, the network connections I got to make, the people I got to hang out with, that there are no photographs or videos of, like those are the best things, Like
that's good. I found your page about a year ago, Justin. Yeah. I'm big on social media, and necessarily I saw it on the Explore page, and I was like, man, this guy, and I didn't necessarily know. I saw the content you're posting and kind of the ins and outs, and I was like, man, this is cool. Like, this is a cool website to be. And then when the PR agent from NWA, Mark, kind of hit me up and he said, hey man, would you like to do the wrestling classic? He's like, hell yeah, I'd love to join on. I think this is a cool conversation. And I saw your journey. I saw you kind of.
Oh, thank you.
Essentially, I'll click on your account every so often and just check out the follower increase. I'm like, man, this guy, he's doing well. And
we could have this conversation off the air of what I've been through with this page, losing it, getting it back, being able to post videos, not being able to post videos.
Sure.
It's been a whole up and down since I've started it, but I appreciate that. And I know, like, when you at the time were feuding Joe Alonzo, had Joe Alonzo on, and he kind of skated promo on you and did what Joe does best. But
listen, I like Joe. I think Joe is misunderstood, and I'm going to go on and talk about Joe Alonzo for just a quick second. I think he's misunderstood. I think you see Joe and you see someone that's not comfortable in his own skin just yet, and he's trying to get there. So he wants the edge on the people of others. And I can't be upset with that. I can't, because to each their own. If that's the way that you're going to win a professional wrestling match, you go out there and you're telling me this. Me, Kerry Morton, I'm an open book. I will tell you how it is. I'm the ticket seller. I'm the man of the hour. I can be anything that you want to be. Leo Rush, I love your little catchphrase, man of the hour, but you're not relevant anymore. All right, it's Kerry Morton style. Wow. So with that being said, I like Joe, and I genuinely do. But with that, it comes a time where he spoke his spoke and he walked his walk, and unfortunately his back was on the match at the count of 3. But I am looking forward to this particular Saturday. Joe Alonzo, Colby Carino, there's a lot of heat and beef going on between them two, and I'm excited for that bout. Genuinely, I'm no longer in the junior heavyweight division for the National Wrestling Alliance. I am 216 pounds as of right now as we speak. I'm strong. I've been really recovered. I broke my hand a few months ago, so kind of rehabbing really well. And now I'm going after the 10 pounds of gold. So I'm looking forward to the junior heavyweight division, and hopefully Colby can take that belt and make something for himself that he's already doing. He's already defended it, quite frankly, all over the country as well. And so I think it's a hell of a bout. I like Joe Alonzo. I didn't mean to go on a little rant there. I just I hope he can show up on this pay-per-view, because I know he's a valued match on this particular card. And at the end of the day, I just hope he can deliver.
I will. I'm sure Joe will hear this and probably want to respond, but
Whatever.
Let's talk about your match. Talk about your match this upcoming Saturday, and then we'll go back to like some other stuff really quickly.
Sure.
First, explain to me. Maybe I'm missing something. Southern Six. There's 3 of you. How does that work?
Southern Six.
I'm supposed to confuse people. Does Southern Six mean something that I'm not from the South? So maybe it's flying over my head. Like, what's going on here?
No, I think it's up to your interpretation. The Southern Six is my boys. That's a gang that we roll together. Genuinely, there's that old saying, you roll together, you die together necessarily, and that's something. That's our mentality. We are very close fit. We all have the same mentality. We're all Tennessee boys, and so with that being said, we roll together, and we were not afraid to stomp kick.
3 of you.
There's only 3 of us. Well, maybe there might be 3 of us, and see that's what people kind of misinterpret sometimes.
Okay.
There might be more. I mean, there's been a few shout outs to some of the women's division of the NWA and outside of the National Wrestling Alliance. And so it's the Southern Six is kind of, it's open for whatever necessarily. It's something there's a lot of meaning to it. But at the end of the day, I think it's marketable. When you talk about the Southern Six, you talk about Big AT, Alex Taylor, Thrillbilly Silas Mason, the NWA National Champion. And then what's that?
For Thrillbilly, I was with it.
Yeah.
I like that.
Thrillbilly. He's telling you what a brute of a man he is too. And you have Kerry Morton. We all have our own individual role. I can talk the talk, I can wrestle, and I can back it up. AT can wrestle and talk the talk, and Silas. I mean, what a heavyweight he is. A strong hand to have. So sometimes when I run my mouth a little too much, I can get behind him. So that's how we roll. We go out to the bars together. We have a good time. We bond. We do a lot of things together necessarily, and maybe something I shouldn't mention on the air but we have a hell of a time. We have a hell of a time at the end of the day, and that's something that I cannot do without necessarily those guys. And you're seeing the future of the National Wrestling Alliance. People want to compare.
It's a genuine friendship because they're really friends. Like, this is like 3 guys that genuinely get along, and you guys are here to take over the National Wrestling Alliance.
That's right, and we're not just saying that to be catchy or cliche or gimmicky. No. I mean, we're the future of the National Wrestling Alliance, and I'm not just going to say that to blow up my own head a little bit more, but necessarily you look outside and you look at this faction and you look at what we're able to accomplish in our short time. And I'm sorry, excuse me, I have a dog.
We got to run.
My dog made a little sound there, but anyways, at the end of the day, I'm getting at is we're hard-hitting boys. We love what we do. We love professional wrestling. We admire the business. We pay homage to the lineage necessarily, and we're creating the future. What
does it mean to you to be facing the Headbangers?
Listen, those assholes.
You're 22, so like you were like not like watching when the Headbangers were on TV. That doesn't even make sense. Which I'm not saying that it matters. Like obviously you grew up watching wrestling, so you know who they are and you've seen them. But like, does it have the same effect for you? Like, I don't know.
Well, it does. It's cool to wrestle the Headbangers. They're here's the thing too, and this is something that caught me off guard. Is there's a meeting, and this is genuine. There's a big meeting at NWA backstage about future things coming up, individual meetings, talent relations, whatever you may be. And they came to Kerry Morton. They came to Alex Taylor. We're in the tag team division right now, kind of playing around. And I genuinely just said, I was like, there's no one in the NWA that's capable of wrestling us right now. Everyone kind of has their own match. We don't want to just beat up Rush Freeman again. We don't want to beat up some job boys. We want a hell of a match. And beat WPC, William Patrick Corgan said, all right, boys, if you're asking for this, then I'll find you a challenge. No shit. Didn't hear anything for weeks on end. Said, well, I'll just find you an open challenge. And so be it. They threw it online. Some guys in the email necessarily chain, and something kind of got mentioned. There's a bunch of tag teams thrown around. Some from Game Changer Wrestling, some from Impact Wrestling even. I think they're AAA. And then unexpectedly, we get this interview from the Headbangers, and I said, "Holy hell, this is where we're going. We're going to wrestle the Headbangers on an NWA, former NWA World Tag Team Champions." Yeah. So it's cool. I'm happy for the guys. They're going to get their spotlight on Kerry Morton and Alex Taylor's back. And
look at you be so generous, putting a spotlight on these old timers like the Headbangers. Right. Just give them one more run in the sun. I see what's going on here.
Give them one more run. They're on. They worked with WWE in the past. I believe they're still on WWE Legends contracts, those old asses. So they're going to take an ass whooping. Listen, they're bigger than us, probably a little bit slower than us, and we're in a rock and roll tag team match whatever the hell that may be. I have my father in our corner, a rock and roll tag team match. I don't know what to expect, but I'm expecting the unexpected. I know Glenn, Chaz is kind of the smaller one, Headbangers, which they're both not small in any particular reason. But Glenn was exceptionally excited and wanted to do some wild shit, quote unquote, as from what I was told. So I'm telling you, I think this is one of the matches that you're going to see the future of the National Wrestling Alliance kind of showcased in a different way. They went through.
It's the future versus the past. It's the OGs versus new kids on the block. I'm with it. And honestly, I grew up with the Headbangers. They were on TV when I was a kid, so I was all about it. I'm like, oh, the Headbangers, like that's super cool. Then I was like, oh, you're 22, so I don't know, but
I'm excited. In my career, I have wrestled a lot of legends. A lot of the professional wrestling legends want to wrestle me on these independent shows.
Have you bumped into anybody yet that remembered you as a kid?
Oh, all the time. I just wrestled George South last
night.
I was raised around George South. George South considers me as one of his sons. As he said in a promo last night before I beat his ass. So in the ring yesterday, so it's quite frankly, it was funny to see, but all the time. And, I'm very, and I say this open-hearted, I'm appreciative that these professional wrestling legends want to step in the ring with me on these independent shows that they're booked at. And they suggest working with me because I think first and foremost, they're not afraid that they're going to get hurt. They can still deliver exceptional professional wrestling, and they see something. I'm not here to say, hey, I'm this and that and more. But at the end of the day, when you're having Bret the Hitman Hart and Ric Flair and Austin Idol, Dr. Tom Pritchard, all these extraordinary legends, Jim Cornette, I'll even go on to say to endorse Kerry Morton, that's got to mean something, and that's something I don't take lightly. I always try to deliver at these shows and show and showcase my ability in that professional wrestling ring, and that's something I'm very appreciative of.
How much pressure do you feel on yourself being a second generation superstar, though? Do you ever feel like you have to because everyone gives, I think there is a bad stigma in professional wrestling, the fandom sometimes, where if you're a successful second generation superstar, then everything was handed to you. You didn't have to work for it, yada, yada, yada. If you're a second generation superstar that doesn't really succeed at that level, or you're misutilized, or people kind of just forget about it. It just kind of flies off the radar. So it's kind of, you're put in this weird position. How do you feel in that position? What pressures do you feel are on yourself?
Well, there was my grandfather, which was in the professional wrestling industry, my father, and then myself being a third generation wrestler.
Third generation.
Yeah. No, it's okay. He was in Memphis wrestling with Jerry Lawler, my grandfather, and along with my dad. But anyhow, the pressure's not there. And here's the thing. And obviously I get some big shoes to fill. But at the end of the day, I'm my own man. And that's something that, in professional wrestling, it is tough to stay relevant and stay on top of the food chain. And that's something I edge at and I think about every single day is staying on top of the food chain, staying, in that highlighted spot, doing things that are out of the unordinary to be in this position. And so, it's there most definitely, but I try not to let it get to me. I try to think about what's happening in the moment and how I can direct the future for even my path. And professional wrestling is such a strange industry where you don't know what is to come tomorrow. Like I said, nothing is ever guaranteed in professional wrestling. And so I take that, I don't take that lightly. And it's something that you got to think about and you got to create an edge. And, I love it. I love the position I'm in right now. I signed with the National Wrestling Alliance for a long time because I believe in this company. I believe in what we're doing. We're not everyone's cups of coffee. And that's okay. And I accept that. I'm not. Kerry Morton is not everyone's cup of coffee. And that's okay. That's what professional wrestling is interpreted for. Opinions are meant to be heard. And whether you like me, you love me, you hate me, you want to hurt me necessarily, I am still on the tip of your conversation when you think of the National Wrestling Alliance and you think of the generation of superstars of coming up. And that's how I'd like to think of it right now.
The year's almost wrapping up. We're in October, heading into November. What is let's say two of your biggest goals for 2024?
2024, Kerry Morton is the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. 23 years young at the time of April of next year. I'll be 23. My Jordan year I already got the rings to prove it. I'm a national champion in cheerleading. I'm state champion in wrestling, state champion in theatrics. I want to be the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, the man, Ric Flair. You got to think about that. I love Ric Flair. I don't just love him because he's Ric Flair. I love him because I created a really good relationship with Rick.
So that's one personal goal. What's like a goal for the Southern Six that you have for next year? What do you?
I think the Southern Six is just
succeed then.
The Southern Six, Justin. We're continuing to take over. I think there's gold. There's more individual championships. I could see Alex Taylor going after the television championship. Hell, I could see Silas Mason climbing after the NWA World Heavyweight Championship as well. And that's that we all know what we want. We all kind of want the same thing. And so along that way, we might have to bear out and fight it out necessarily. And that's something that's we're not afraid to do necessarily. We're not afraid to beat each other's asses or put each other's in lines, especially Thrillbilly. He'll put us in line from time to time. He'll smack us around, and he expects the same from us guys. So I think that's something too. Some little birdie up in the air is talking about some cool television deals here in the foreseeable future. Wink, wink. So with that being said, I think you're seeing something different. You're seeing these young guys come out on stage and kind of be relating to the next professional wrestling generation of crowd and that fan, and trying to be related to those, and hopefully increase our viewership. Hopefully increase the younger generation watching professional wrestling, and not leading it into older generations necessarily, and create a new fan base. I think that's our goal necessarily. We want to create things, and we want to make something bigger than what it already is.
I'm looking forward to it. I think I'm excited. I like the Southern Six. I'm kind of becoming a fan myself. I like the little bit of characters between all three of you. You're all a little different, but you're all a little the same. It's going to be something I'm looking forward to. I'm going to watch NWA Sam Wayne this Saturday. Where is it available to watch? Fight TV, and where else can
Fight TV? Yep, Fight TV is our carrier for this pay-per-view. We have a good relationship with Fight TV. They've been really showcasing us, so we're happy to be a part of Fight TV. NWA Samhain, October 28th, Saturday, Cleveland, Ohio. There is, I think, as of right now, the building is pretty packed. We have a really, really good ticket lineup right now, and it has been. NWA has sold out a lot of shows here in the past 6 months, so to speak. I mean, we have really boosted up, and it's only continuing following the weekend after. We're doing television tapings in Nashville. One of your boys there, one of my boys, kind of Mo Jabari of Bret Hart's guy.
Kid Chocolate, yeah.
Yeah, the chocolate kid, baby. The Calgary kid. I'm happy. Mo, I saw a lot of talent in Mo, and so I had to tell Billy Corgan that I want Mo on a part of it, and being Brett's boy as well. It's just icing on the cake, and I think Mo has a lot to offer, and so I'm really looking forward to his bout here at NWA tapings in Nashville, Tennessee on November the 4th. Leading after that, 2 weeks.
On my birthday. That's great.
November 4th, yeah.
Yeah, that's my birthday.
Fantastic. Well, happy early birthday. I'll probably tell you then before then, but I think Mo's going to do great. I'm really looking forward to him and him being a part of NWA Power and our future, where we're going. I'm stoked for him. So anyhow, there's that. But please, wrestling fans that's going to listen to this, the Wrestling Classic, support professional wrestling in any way. That's my biggest thing is if you see a cool professional independent wrestler and you have the extra income, buy a t-shirt, buy an 8x10, support these guys and gals in non-binary, and and just at the end of the day, they're living their dream, and I'm there to say to go on and live your own.
No, 100%. I agree with that. I think any little bit of support goes a long way. I say to people all the time, I'm like, even if you're just leaving a comment, liking someone's post, you're buying their merch, you buy 8x10, whatever you do, like, it goes long, especially when they're on the independents and there's not like a solid guaranteed contract and trying to get bookings.
Yes.
Like, you go to their table and you give that moment of time to them, it means a lot. I'm looking forward to the event. I'm going to wrap this up with one last question. We talked a little bit about it at the beginning, but do you have a favorite interaction from when you were a child? Being backstage, running through these hallways, is there someone specifically that, outside of your father, was there someone back there that you had an interaction with that you hold very dearly? Like, that was one of my favorite moments as a kid.
My favorite moment, most definitely. Beautiful Bobby Eaton, one half of the Midnight Express, one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time, in my own opinion. greatest tag team wrestlers of all time. I had the fortunate and opportunity that Bobby lived with us for quite a while, my father and I and my family. And I love Bobby's family dearly, and he's someone I treasure. And when you see Kerry Morton's work in the ring, I hope you see a little shed of light. Obviously, I can never fulfill those shoes of Bobby Eaton's, but hopefully you can see some of that light of me trying to do my best to showcase what he's shown me. And I love Bobby dearly. I think he's a treasure. It really almost killed me, him passing. So that's someone I truthfully treasure a ton. And I hope at the end of the day, when he's looking down on us, I hope he's like, I'm really proud of Kerry's work. I wish he could see where I'm at now. But, I think I'd like to say I'm making him proud. There's a religious man such as myself. So I hope this is it's something, I can reflect on and one day hopefully tell my nieces and nephews about the great Bobby Eaton.
Honestly, I love how this current generation, and it's so crazy because it's like 2-3 generations later, but there's so much appreciation from guys that wrestled in that area in that time, like the Bobby Eatons and your dad guys now than there was maybe like 10 years ago. Like the amount of appreciation that wrestlers that are coming up now have for these guys is tremendous. I've probably heard Bobby Eaton's name more now in the last like 10 years than I did 20 years ago. And it's a beautiful thing that his name's still being said among the many others from that Jim Crockett, NWA, Memphis area that weren't necessarily in the WWE and on that big stage in that sense, that are getting all the love they're getting today because people are recognizing like, oh, damn, that's some like really good wrestling from back then.
Agreed. Right there with you, Justin. Right there with you. I think these guys deserve the credit where credit's due, and I'm hoping, I can just be a little part of that to give them their credit.
100%. Thank you for coming on here. I really do appreciate it. This was a blast. I'd love to have you back on again. Maybe we'll do one of those things if we'll figure it out. We'll do something. But
no, you'll see me. I'll be here next year, probably. I'll be here as the NWA World Heavyweight Champion after I beat.
You come back on with the belt. Yeah.
I'll with the belt. Whether I be EC3 or Tom Latimer or whoever the champion may be at that time. When the opportunity comes, I'm going to show up and I'm going to show out as I always do. And I will be back to return the favor with the big 10 pounds of gold to Sweet Charlotte.
There you go. I appreciate your time, guys. Make sure you guys subscribe, listen, go follow Kerry Morton on social media. Check him out, see where he's going to be. If you're going to be in Wrestlecade in November, go say what's up to him. Tell him you watch the interview. Guys, we'll see you all next time. Keep doing the thing. Ooh, yeah. Dig it.
It's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.